Alright, let's go. Take it away, man.
Let's go. Roundup of all the dodgy dealings in the Premier League and surrounding areas. More. Play the intro.
Good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome back to the Football Booth Podcast, episode 15. My name is Fennan, and joining alongside me, I've got the almighty Mayhem. How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, man, I'm not too bad. I've caught this 100 fucking billion day cough thing that's reverberating around the
Still
UK.
got it?
It's still kicking about, mate. So God knows when it will leave. But apart from that, we're just coming off of had a few days off work. Although again, most of them were spent feeling sorry for myself for this cough and not getting much sympathy from the kids.
You never do.
So yeah, but no, good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I was so worried that I wasn't going to get home today because we had a massive snowstorm that kicked in early afternoon here in Stockholm. But thankfully, Sweden, they take no shit when it comes to snow. Everything's still running as normal, no standstills whatsoever. Got home safely, and here we are this evening, recording for the first time as we haven't done in a fortnight. I had to pull out last minute. Last week, I'm afraid, I had to not work, oh, shut up, grow up, will ya? Grow up. God, I can tell you're managing hashtag United on FM if you're reacting like that. No, I had to work late, unfortunately, so that's why we could record. And so today, this episode is going to be very interesting because, Celtic haven't played, Mayhem. They haven't played at all. So I think what we're going to do, we'll just get a rumour mill of all the transfer speculation. Maybe there's a bit of ongoings on Celtic Twitter, perhaps, because Cardiff Twitter's fucking mental at the moment. It always is when it comes to this time of the year. So why don't you give us a rundown as to the ingoings, the outgoings, what's going on behind the scenes at Celtic that you may know, dig up some dirt or whatnot.
Well, it is all speculation. I know absolutely no one in the know. Just to caveat that, in case anyone hears, Celtic Twitter is really good at telling people they're not in the know, and I'm not in the know, so they're factually correct. The weekends have been nice. This whole, not having to worry about
stress-free, right?
So maybe I should have been into rugby or something. Anyway,
Oh, don't get me started on rugby either, mate. Christ.
yeah, I mean, caveating quickly, that's a weird, like
That was
one of the best wingers in rugby, in my opinion. I'm not gonna attempt his name because I always get it wrong. But
Louis Rees-Zammit, yeah.
Yeah, the good one, the quick one.
He's very quick. Very quick.
It's not retiring, but it's just decided he's going to take a wee holiday to America and try and make it in the NFL. It does feel very Andrew Flintoff trying to box.
It does. Yeah, it does. It's quite I don't know, obviously we do have athletes that always do, try to convert from one sport to another. Like mostly we see it with boxing to MMA, MMA to boxing, MMA to WWE even. I suppose that still falls beneath that category. But from rugby to the NFL was really weird. And to be so, like the prestige that Louis Rees-Zammit was at, like he's only 22 years old, playing for Gloucester at club level, Wales international, Lions international. Like it felt like, we still had there was still yet the best of him that we had to see. But I mean, look, I wish the boy nothing but luck. I mean, he's been an absolute, he's been a shining outlet for the Wales national team because we've looked far below par in recent years, and so massive big boots to fill without a doubt. To lose a player of his caliber in such a mediocre side it's a big hit for us. But I wish the boy nothing but the best. I hope he does make it, but
And I
So,
guess if he does get into the NFL, that's life changing. I don't know the sums of money that's rocking around the Aviva Premiership, but I very much doubt that they are anything, probably a drop in the ocean compared to what the NFL can muster up if he is in any way successful. But that was a nice caveat on a football podcast into something
yeah, I
completely
know,
not
right?
related.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so stress free. It's been nice. We are back into action this weekend against Bucky Thistle.
Bucky
Um,
Thistle.
uh, the Battle of the Hoops. So hopefully that one will be stress free as well. Please, Lord. But obviously we're in January, and that has allowed us to. We always knew that we were going to try and trim the squad, and we've done that a wee bit. We've obviously said thanks for coming up, Nat Phillips, but you're not great. Away you go back, or Liverpool have called him back. Whatever. He's away. We've Itaguchi has gone back to
Japan.
Japan.
Yep.
Um, again, not nothing against the boy, just never really broke in. Didn't get much of a run in the team, but I think he was on loan, and he's gone and made that permanent. So fair play to him. Adam Montgomery was recalled back to the club, and I think he's then gone out on loan to Motherwell, or it's in the phase of being complete. So he's was back into the team. I think he was down at Fleetwood, and Fleetwood aren't doing great, so clearly decided to bring him back up and get him playing in the Scottish Premierships. I think he's gone to Motherwell, and then Kwon, which was one of these signings in the summer that in brackets Ange had approved. But it doesn't really look like anyone approved these guys. The likes of Yang and Kwon kind of appeared in a preseason friendly against Wolves, and then has disappeared and magically now reappeared in January, and he's gone on loan to St Mirren to try and gauge as to where he's at. He again, he's another one that looks incredibly raw. It wouldn't surprise me if he even struggles to get into that St Mirren team. But we'll see. There's been a pathway before for people going out, the likes of Christopher Ayer, that obviously went to Kilmarnock, and sort of learn their trade, so that there is that kind of pathway. But we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if he only makes a couple of appearances and then he's another one that just doesn't fit the bill. We've obviously lost Maeda, and Yang, and Rio to the Asian Cup that's ongoing. Kyogo wasn't called up, which I'm sure is incredibly disappointing for him, but at the same time, selfishly for us, it's good news.
Yeah.
So really, I think really the only one that's a massive hurt is Hatate, and luckily Bernardo has come into form at the right time where that doesn't feel as hard of a hit. And I'm sure some people would refer to Maeda, and that maybe would have been, but in the last day we have signed the winger from Rapid Vienna, who are a bunch of bastards, but we've signed them. Surname's I don't know the pronunciation on the surname, and it's questionable as to how it will be pronounced. And
I'm scared of
to be
going to
honest,
make a cut here or something. Like,
I'm not ready to be cancelled before we've even really blown up. So welcome to Celtic Football Club, Nicholas Jarrett. I'll just refer to him as his first name, and then over the coming weeks, I'm sure I'll become confident with that surname. As of yet, not. 3.5 million euros from Rapid Vienna comes in as the right winger, which was a problem area.
absolutely.
And yeah, hopefully can come and hit the ground running. It's always the challenge. But I think he's about 24, I think, in and around. So a lot of people on Twitter are calling him a project. I don't think you can really call someone a project at 24. You've gone and
No.
paid 3.5 million euro. For me, that's a player to come in and affect the first team. So, um,
And that's
yeah,
essentially what you need, especially in the right wing position where it's been such a problematic area to fill over the last 6 months.
yeah. I don't know if that means that, you know, I kind of get the feeling that Maeda will still be, when he comes back, if he's fit, I still think he'll be a go-to, and this guy would have to do a lot to dislodge him because of his work ethic. Although we've spoken about Maeda's um, lack of ability to control a football, but his athletic attributes is
Got
obviously
a
what
call
what
up
makes.
though.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just so he can. I'm pretty sure he just runs everywhere. I mean, guy gets out of bed and runs to brush his teeth. Like he just keeps fucking never stops. Um, but yeah, it's nice to get the first one in the door. Still think there's a few areas, as I think most Celtic fans will say. Um, Still think that we need a left back to compete with Greg Taylor.
Yep.
Give that competition, and I think probably more of a Brendan Rodgers left back, and rather than one stepping into midfield and inverting, someone going down and getting to the byline. Um, and then probably a striker to be rotational with Kyogo. Kyogo just hasn't been the same player. Obviously, what Brendan's asking him to do was different to what Andrew's asking him to do. Still fantastic player, and obviously is capable of magical moments, as we've seen in the derby. But I think there's probably, I would imagine, a few people that Brendan's got their eye on that could probably come in there. A goalkeeper would be nice too, but I don't think that that'll be priority for January. I think that's more probably geared towards the summer. There are slight whispers floating. There's been whispers of Cameron Carter-Vickers, um, potential interest. Obviously, Matt O'Reilly, potential interest. There was one source apparently reporting that we'd basically accepted 13 million, 5 million up front, and the rest spread out from Bournemouth. I think it must have been Ryan Christie just on his day off having a right
Yeah.
bam up like so. Um, but no, at the moment it seems to all be seems to be going grand slowly but surely. We're getting rid of the players that obviously Brenda doesn't fancy. I would be surprised if we don't see exits for a few more. Probably, I'm thinking around like maybe David Turnbull. I know he's come in and played a little bit, but probably a player that we could get a little bit of money for. And if we are looking for another midfielder, then I don't think it would be too difficult to go out and replicate his ability, by bringing in someone of, that £3-4 million ilk, which is kind of the market that we operate in. There is a few rumours from Asia, as there always seems to be at the moment. I'm hoping that the club kind of takes stock and pauses and realizes that we've raided Asia for the last couple of years, and we've probably dug up all the talent within our
Yeah.
price bracket.
Yeah.
There probably is a superstar out there, but that maybe they're probably a little bit out of ours, and they would go to like a Bundesliga club or a Brighton like Matoma, or I think there's a few in the Bundesliga that have come in. So
Yeah. There was something like Endo as well, for example, who went to, what was it, Frankfurt or someone like that.
yeah, so we've definitely get in a position that's been problematic. If we were being slightly critical, maybe we could have acted a little bit more swiftly. We're getting in now to the second half of January, and we've only one in, and we probably at least need two more. And we're heading towards that deadline day already. So could we have been a bit swifter if we've identified this player of going out and getting him? There was maybe a bit of haggling being done over 0.5 million of a euro. Well, just what's the point? Just pay her.
Yeah.
They had
No.
they had
No.
they had their price. That was always going to be their price. They didn't waver from their price. Like, what are you fucking about? Just pay the money. Let's get this deal done and move on to the next one. Um, so hopefully, still optimistic. There's still a few more there, but again, in January, we do know that as much as the fans we don't like it, things do tend to hotten up towards the end of January because people start to realise that actually they can't go where they want to go. That isn't opening up, and this is they need to move now, or they're not moving for the next 6 months, and they're stuck. So things may slot into place towards the end, and there may be a few things that we can get over the line. But hopefully we keep hold of everyone. I hope for a few more additions over the next couple of weeks.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, man. Well, I mean, there was one piece of speculation that I saw surrounding Rocco Vata. From what I read, there was a host of mid-table Italian clubs that were looking to go for a pre-contract agreement on Rocco Vata. His contract is up in the summer. I know this is a Celtic Academy product that you've rated highly yourself, Mayhem, and had his name had come up a few times over the last few episodes, and he was he was a name that you were quite surprised with not potentially getting into that first team side. Do you think that would be a huge loss as well? Like again, like you said when we've spoken in the past about the likes of Ben Doak, for example, he was the big one. Do you feel like it's a kind of similar sense in Rocco Vata as well?
A wee bit. There's been good things spoken about from an academy level. He probably is our biggest prospect at the moment. So it's worrisome that our biggest prospect doesn't appear to be good enough for the first team, especially when you've had that many problems on the right. So clearly, either he's not good enough and Brendan didn't want him, or he wasn't interested in signing a contract and therefore we weren't interested in giving him a pathway into the first team. Either or, we've, sort of let someone that could potentially have helped the team slip through our fingers, it seems, and we've lost him for nothing. The same way that we lost Ben Doak. He's going to probably leave on a free. So there is a worry about the academy. I think, again, most Celtic fans would say the same. Growing up, we've had that steady kind of cycle of players that would be coming through. The Forests and the Callum McGregors, Kieran Tierney's that would be coming through, obviously, in the team now, like Stephen Welsh, Anthony Ralston. So there've always been players that have been on that conveyor belt that, okay, right, so at some point they're going to make a step up and they're either going to be a squad player for the team or the likes of like James Forrest and Callum McGregor, they're going to be good enough to go and affect the team. And, the starting 11. There isn't that at the moment.
No.
And it screams volumes if Rocco Vata, for one reason or another, cannot get in front of Yang, then there probably isn't any reason to keep him at the football club.
That was the exact comparison you made in recent weeks was to Yang, where he looks so raw, but then you have an academy product who is touted as your best product in Rocco Vata, who just isn't getting the look in whatsoever.
Yeah, I guess maybe a few people would argue there's Mitchell Frame that obviously come on it was one of the Champions League games he come on, maybe Atletico it was, or maybe Feyenoord.
But yeah, I think it was the last game of the group, Feyenoord at home.
Yeah, so Mitchell Frame come on. He's a winger, and didn't look completely out of place. So that's maybe an argument, but whether he's the best or not, he's certainly one of the highly thought of players, and it's another one that appears that we're going to lose out on, and it's happened a few times. The likes of someone like Liam Morrison that went to Bayern Munich, and if Bayern Munich come knocking, you can't really say no. I mean,
no, exactly.
he's ended up playing in that like Bayern Munich 2 team that plays in whatever like Bundesliga 3 or whatever they play in. But still, Bayern Munich, I'm calling no, fair enough. Away you go.
Ask
Again,
Dale Jennings, you know.
yeah, but you get nothing for these boys. So we do have a problem, even if we develop them. We seem to have a real problem in keeping them these days, and pinning them down to long contracts to where at least we can get a few years out of them and develop them a wee bit, and then get a fee like we did for obviously Kieran Tierney. But we're even struggling to do that, so the academy's a worry. But yeah, it looks like he'll be another player that probably leaves in the summer on, like you said, a prearranged deal that looks most likely to be somewhere in Italy.
Yeah, and like they're not bad teams either. Like I said, I think they're around mid-table in Serie A, and
Bologna was the name
Bologna
that was.
was the biggest name, and then there was I think there was like Cagliari that
Yeah,
who are up there as
and
well,
look,
and then two others.
Serie A have obviously had a lot of success, in coming to Scotland. I think Liam Henderson went over there. Lewis Ferguson's doing well over there.
Aaron
Obviously, Aaron
Hickey,
Hickey.
yeah,
So it's been a place where they've got some real good players. Obviously, in terms of Aaron Hickey, they made a real good profit on him when he went to Brentford. So it's been somewhere that you can understand why they keep coming back, because they've had pretty good success in nailing down some players. But yeah, disappointing to potentially lose them on a free. But at the same time, if you haven't broken through and really stamped your name, at least for a little while, especially when we were struggling, then I'm not sure that you're actually going to. And it may be best for both parties to thank each other for what they've done and let him go. But I think it stings a wee bit more when you don't really have anyone else just kind of lighting the world up down there, where you're thinking, "Oh, I can't wait to see him step up to the first team and see what he can do." He was that one. Before that, like we said, the likes of Ben Doga, we had like Kamoko Dembele that was down there for a little bit. It just seems to have lost that that buzz about it, and
yeah.
isn't really anyone kicking around down there now.
Yeah, and I think that I don't know if obviously for a club like Celtic, and I feel like I can relate in some way where it feels like these sorts of players come around every couple of years, and so it could be the case where it's now just going through that time frame as to when the next big thing comes up through the academy and who is going to be like the next big star to come out of it, and then all of a sudden they're on the bench on a night out in the Champions League. Then you know, that's where the story begins with them. But yeah, but I mean, away from the academy situation, I do relate with you as well regarding the fact that we're 2 weeks into January, and I think at this time now, where if you've only got like one face in or not even any, it does tend to then sort of build up the anxiety within you as a fan to see whether or not the club can get any deals over the line.
Yeah, I mean, historically, unfortunately, Celtic tend to leave it late in January. Um, Obviously, under Ange, they did their business maybe a bit differently, and
First week, yeah.
um, and we that was kind of a shock to the system, and everyone loved it. But um, Celtic team tend to approach this window very cautiously, um, and I think Brendan's been very clear that he wants quality rather than quantity, which is fair enough. The squad is bloated anyway, and we probably do need to get a few boys off the books. So you can understand us being a wee bit cautious, but at the same time, we still need a couple of players just to really
Yeah.
stamp our authority and make sure that we kick on in the second half of the season. So not too cautiously, please. Let's get another room and we'll go nice and quick and get someone snapped up in a problem area and settle everyone down. If over the next couple of days, someone else comes about and we get that business done, and then we're only needing this position. So we get a left back in okay, right, we only need a striker, and a striker isn't a massive issue because we have Kyogo Bevo. Obviously, they're away at the moment. There isn't a huge issue, but we could probably do with another one, or we get a goalkeeper. Again, it's not a huge issue. It is to some people, but
Yeah.
I don't think Joe Hart is completely done. Like can't, but it's definitely time to have someone come in and come in over the top of him, preferably in January. But I don't think it would drastically affect our season if that
No.
was left to the summer. I think Joe will be fine um, until then. And he's been I think he's been a really really good signing for Celtic. He's been a great leader. He's brought great ethos and a real winner's mentality up. Look, he's not in the peak of his career, but that's why he's here. That's the horrible truth of it. You're talking about someone that won the league with City, playing in Champions Leagues. So if he was at the peak of his powers, he wouldn't be playing in Scotland. So
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I think it's highly beneficial to have players of his caliber in and around the squad. Like not even just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. To have someone of his persona and with his mentality and experience in and around the club, I think it's huge to have. And not a lot of clubs have that at this level. I mean, if you look at the Cinch Premiership, like Rangers got Todd Cantwell. Oh, he's got a championship medal, whatever. And then past that, there isn't anyone.
yeah, so but I mean, I don't think he can be underestimated. His ability. I don't think he's interested in if he's not playing. Just being that vocal point, and he come here to play football. He's done that. If he wasn't number one, I don't know if he'd retire or if he would look to go and play somewhere else, or he was getting game time. I don't know, but I think he's been brilliant for us. Really backing up. Obviously in a time where we were transitioning captains and stuff as well. Stepped into the role really really well. So yeah, it'll be big boots to come in and fill, but it's the right time. But I think more prominent is the left back position, and a striker, potentially a midfielder as well. But I think if you get rid of Turnbull, you probably need to bring one in. If you're happy to keep Turnbull around till the summer, I'm not sure on his contract situation, but I imagine there can't be ages left on his contract for Turnbull. So if you're happy to keep him around on the summer, then fair enough. Otherwise, let him go and bring in someone of equal stature. Which David Turnbull on his day he strikes the ball really really well. He's got a really pure strike. And can see a pass, but in the modern game, I think he's lacking some of the key outputs that most modern managers and obviously Brendan Rodgers would want. And hopefully, I've heard no rumor about it and it hasn't happened yet. But for fuck's sake, bin Mikey Johnson, please.
Yes, we'll leave it on that, shall we? Don't want to give him too much of a plug. I feel like he had it enough in the last episode. Yeah, no, fingers crossed some deals can get over the line in the last 2 weeks of the January window. But let's transition over to the Welsh capital, where it's been, if I'm honest, I wouldn't. You've had a very relaxing last week and a half or so. Mine's been the complete opposite, as you can tell by recent results. 10 games, 10 points. They're numbers there. We have picked up 10 points out of a possible 30. Which, honest, I don't know what's happened to this team, mate. The team from the start of the season to the last month is completely night and day. I don't know what has happened. The confidence has just been completely sucked out of this side. Completely. Like, I know the Sheffield Wednesday scoreline was awful, but yeah, like I've expressed in the past before, we just don't compete in cup competitions anymore. We don't look to compete in cup competitions before. We put out a makeshift side, we put 5 at the back, and we just kind of hope for the best in a way. Like, I mean, Ryan Winter was playing centre back against Sheffield Wednesday, and then we come back to the Cardiff City Stadium where we're hosting one of the top sides in the league right now, and Winter's playing as a number 10. And then on top of that, like I said, the urgency, the drive, the confidence is completely non-existent now with this team. I don't understand it. We've got key players who we've raved on about all season, who are now making minor mishaps and little errors that just cost us completely. Like Manny Siopis, who I've absolutely raved on about, who is arguably, was our player of the season, is now, losing the ball in his own half, and Somerville's driving through on goal. We got two players throwing bodies, missing the ball completely, and fucking Patrick Bamford poaching the ball away. Like, it's just like, again, it's kind of like a Cardiff of old at the moment, where we just don't want to show any positive aspects to our game whatsoever, and it makes us look very predictable because we like to play out the back, along the back line, and then try and exploit the flanks a bit, and teams read us like an open book. Waterstones FC, that's what we are right now. And so, yeah, completely outclassed by Leeds on the weekend. Not going to lie, kind of expected it. Leeds are absolutely flying at the moment, and they're, making their presence known in the Championship now, where they're on that march up the table, and they will chase down Ipswich without a doubt. They're too good not to. I wouldn't be surprised they even chase down Leicester as well, because I feel that Leicester could potentially have a blip along the way in the remainder of the season. It hasn't happened yet, but I could feel it coming. I feel they'll drop some points along the way, but just like Celtic, really, it's slightly worse because we haven't brought in anyone. Jonathan Panzer, who we had on loan from Forest, has now gone back, purely because Mark McGuinness and Gutas have managed to hold down their places in the starting 11, and rightfully so, because I think they've been outstanding this season. And so, unfortunately for Panzer, who is a brilliant Championship defender, just wasn't getting any minutes, and so he was shipped back to Forest. Apart from that, we had Eli King, we recalled from, it was someone in League One. He's now gone on loan to, he's actually gone to the Cinch Premiership. I want to say Ross County, but I'm not entirely sure. But again, could be a good move in his development. There was part of me that wanted to keep him based on the central midfield options as well. Like, we've got depth there, but there's just too much consistency going at the moment, especially where Errol Bullitt just can't make his mind up as to where Wintel's best position is. Rule struggles to stay fit every now and then. I also thought it would have been good for Siopis to sit out the side for a week or so, just to rest his legs a bit, and because he's played an awful lot this season, Manny, and so I thought Eli King would have been a nice outlet to have, but no, Bullets are different, so he's been loaned out again. And then, bar that, Cardiff Twitter is just absolutely mental in these transfer windows. Absolutely mental. Like, the names that have come up. I mean, Kiefer Moore was always going to be there, but we're now being linked again with Ryan Giles from Luton, who I just don't see letting go at all, because I really do believe that's weakening Luton's side completely as he does start. And so they're, Cardiff Twitter's thinking like, oh yeah, we're gonna get the Mick McCarthy band back together. Well, fucking well hope not, because they're the only two I'd have back. And then a few Turkish names come up again, just purely through the link of having Errol Bullitt as our manager. But again, they want permanent transfer fees, and they're quoting 2 to 3 million. Whether or not Vincent Tan wants to fork out that money. I really don't think not. And there was some speculation that the chairperson of the Supporters Trust has been in contact with club officials just to basically get some information as to what's going on this transfer window, just to see like what budget is Bullet working with. Can we sign players? Can we loan players? Or is it going to be free transfers? Or can we just not be active in the transfer window whatsoever? And they basically telling us to play the waiting game, be patient. There's a few names at advanced stages, but again, with social media, you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt. And so we've got to focus on who we've got on our books right now. We've got to focus on the team as a whole. That's how we're playing, how we're performing, and it's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. Like the fact that we looked better in that transition period at the start of the season, and I don't know if that's because that we've missed Aaron Ramsey, because he was a huge individual that we had that really did encourage us to get forward and be direct and confident. And so
Any word on his return?
He's back in training. Unfortunately, Callum O'Dowda has suffered another setback. He is now set to return in March, which isn't great because that still leaves us with JC as our only left-sided option, and so that's still a position that we need to fill. I'd personally take Joel Bagan back from loan. I think he'd be a good backup for JC, and he's proved before when he started for Cardiff that he can be very effective on that left side and could be good competition for JC. And so it's been tough to watch the last few weeks, and the comparisons were always going to come in regards to looking back at highlights of the Swansea game, the Bristol game, like even the first game of the season against Leeds at Ellen Road, where we managed to defend so well and counter press them perfectly, and it feels now that it's just a Cardiff of old. And so it's very difficult to watch right now, but we got to keep pressing on, be patient in terms of any deals that we do get over the line. But we go away to home park next to Green Army. Do I feel confident? Absolutely not. We need to get our shit together again, and we just got to fucking get back to our best. But hard to think that we will anytime soon as things are going right now.
Yeah, so it's always a frustration, isn't it, when you can't get anyone in, but even more so for Cardiff with everything that's happened, with all the transfer embargo, with all the noise. Now that that's all put to one side and that's dealt with, let's go and find some people. Surely there was people identified in that time where you couldn't sign anyone. Surely you were still scouting. You've had, Errol Bullitt in from the start of the season. Surely he has told you areas that, right, look, I need someone here.
Yeah.
You've gone away. There must be targets. You're operating in the Championship as well. Like, there's free transfers out there that would come in and do a job. And sometimes you don't even need. We were just talking about Joe Hart's impact. Yes, he's come in and he's played a lot of games for Celtic, but sometimes you don't even need someone to come in and affect the starting 11. But someone that comes in with the right energy and the right attitude, someone to be a bit of experience, it just lifts the club.
Yeah.
There is no. I don't even know who that player would be, but someone that's Championship experience, that is covering a problem position, so maybe on the left side or, in midfield, maybe up top, that can come in.
Yeah. We definitely need a goal scorer, without a doubt. We definitely need a goal scorer.
Would you find that in the free transfer market? I don't know. I don't know if you'd find that, but there is definitely players that could come in and give the place a lift. And even the loan market is one of those strange ones where it gets to this point, you're like, oh, any good loans? And you get towards the end of the season,
Yeah,
like, why did we loan him?
scraping the bottom of the barrel. But there are, like you said, but there are names out there. I mean, none of us had heard of Sori Kaba last season. He came in and was unbelievable.
Yeah, and there is, especially in the way that Premier League clubs churn players these days. Definitely a few boys that be kicking around in the reserve teams, the under-21s. For certain teams that you can go and say, look, do you want to come and play? First team football for 6 months, and we hear people all the time. Ex-pros talk about how super important their time at X club was. Look at people like Harry Kane or Jamie Vardy, and Jamie Vardy obviously didn't have the loan, but he had that rise. Harry Kane I think he was loaned to pretty much everyone in English football at one point. So they've done those hard yards, and that's put them in a better position. So I'm sure there is people, and you get that person in, and if they come and have a good 6 months at Cardiff and they do well in the Championship, we've seen for the likes of Tommy Doyle who done that, and is playing
Yeah,
Premier League football.
unbelievable player.
So it gives them a platform.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and even seeing Tommy Doyle now at Wolves. He scored an absolute scorcher the other week.
Is that where he is now? I thought he was
Yeah,
still
he's at Wolves now. Yeah, no, he's doing well at Wolves at the moment, and so.
Is that another loan? Is it?
That's a good question. I'm not too sure.
There's got to be someone like. I'm not saying you'll go get this boy, because obviously he's just had his shining moment and it'll probably be relevant for another. He's having his Makeda moment, but obviously Oscar Bobb, someone like that, that ilk of player who scored that goal for obviously City at the weekend.
Yeah, well, Kean rates Oscar Bobb quite highly as well. Like he said, like he's been one of the best academy products for the last 2-3 years.
He's not getting into the. They've just
He's on the bench a lot. That's all it really is. Yeah.
Doku's there, Grealish. Like he's come on and all right for he's had his. That's what I mean. He's having his Makeda moment, but he's not going to be ready for that team. You see how Pep was with Foden, how he is with is it Rico Lewis? How Pep manoeuvres around. He's not going to be starting in that team for at least another good 2 or 3 years. But I know that Pep is. Sometimes he's a little bit. He doesn't want to send a player to be kicked, which is maybe where a few other managers want to toughen him up a wee bit. He likes to kind of nurture him in house. But someone like that, someone that's on that fringe of wanting to take the next step, taking a downwards step into the Championship and going and playing 90 minutes and being the guy. Like if Oscar Bobb, he's not going to, but if he comes to Cardiff or any team in the Championship. He's the guy.
Exactly.
That's it. And
hypothetically, if we were to get Oscar Bobb, I hope he can take a penalty. That's for sure.
But
2 penalties, Joel. 2 against Sheffield Wednesday. 2 within 2 minutes. And that's another bone I've got to pick as well. Callum Robinson. I tell you what, if we did get a reasonable transfer fee for him, I would not turn it down, if I'm honest. I know I've sat here before and gone that this guy needs to be starting, and then once he has started, it's just been downhill from there, isn't it?
It's that whole absence make the heart grow fonder. So what happens is when your team's going through a rough patch, you're like, who isn't playing? Who could affect this? Oh, this guy. I remember when he played really well, and then he comes back and you go, this guy. Like, now I know why you start on the bench. Now I know why you haven't.
Absolutely, yeah. No, he was dire against Sheffield Wednesday. Absolutely dire. Greedy as well. But I mean, but then again, I think the only silver lining that I could take from that game was to see some of the academy products actually come on, like Kean Ashwood, who came on, who's probably our next. Again, like the closest thing to our next big thing out of the academy. Came on, missed a sitter, but good movement. Can operate behind the striker or as a lone striker with his finishing. I'd rather him not be a striker. And Cameron Antwi as well, who came on, looked good. Joel Colwell, Ruben's brother, came on, looked very sharp on the ball and confident.
Remember Isaac Davis, was it, a few years back?
He's on loan in Belgium at the moment. He's on loan in Belgium, doing well in Belgium, and he's definitely someone I'd take back in a heartbeat right now.
Feels like someone you'd recall.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely.
But look, the Sheffield Wednesday result, obviously a stinker, for many a reason. And I always feel like when you go out in the cup, right, you're looking at the next round and you're like, oh, please don't be anyone good. And thankfully, it wasn't. You'd have only had a home tie against Coventry, so who gives a shit? You get to do that twice a season, anyway. So, yeah, no harm. Shit performance, but out the cup, at least now, the cliche there is that you can focus on the league.
Yeah,
it wasn't easy. Like you said, Leeds are flying. A team that I don't think we've mentioned much at all throughout the whole Championship season. I don't think Leeds are the ones to chase down Ipswich anymore. I think it might just be Southampton. They are on a roll.
They are indeed, and yeah, again that takes me back to when we played them, and it was completely one-sided, and they have managed to just surge on week after week after week. Been easily the most informed side within the last month or so in the Championship. Leeds have had their blip as well, where they went down to 10 men when that Methlier got sent off. And
Preston, wasn't it?
Yeah, Deepdale.
Great goal to win it.
2-1.
At winger on the left, cut him, scored an absolute screamer to win it.
He came off the bench as well, I think, in that game. Came off the bench, cutting on the left flank and just bent it far corner, yeah.
Was a good game.
It was a very good game indeed.
Another team that I think are starting to get it right. They've had a very slow start, but I think they're really starting to come into the season as well as Middlesbrough. I think, obviously showed a lot of faith with Michael Carrick, stuck by him, which they fucking should, because he had a really good season with them last season. I think he's one of the most exciting young British managers that we have at the moment. And I'm sure that, if he doesn't get Borough promoted in the near future, someone will take a chance on him a wee bit higher up. But yeah, they've started to click, and I think they won again on the weekend. I think they were away to Millwall, down at the Den. Shithole.
I like it. No, I fully expected Borough to really click. I remember saying, because I think we lost to them near the start of the season, and they weren't doing so well. But I feel Michael Carrick and what he's built there, based off of last season of how well he did and took Borough up to the playoffs. I think they were too good to be flirting around in the bottom half of the table, and so
they obviously lost. What was it? Was it Akpom?
Chuba Akpom. They lost to Ajax.
Yeah, so
don't hear his name about anymore. But don't know how that's going.
Be back on loan soon, probably. We could, seems as we don't have a lot on this week. Here's a new segment where we check in on a random person. So let's go check in on Chuba Akpom. How are you doing, my friend?
How you doing, mate? How you doing? We miss you. Well, no, we don't miss you in the Championship. Are you a top goal scorer and you're terrifying to play against? But I tell you what, speaking of Ajax there with Chuba Akpom, we can actually transition now from the Championship to
Ajax are fifth. So let me tell you,
they're fifth. Fucking hell!
Just from a glance, not doing great. Another quick glance, they've got 6 goalkeepers. Seems like overkill.
Well, I was gonna say, like, speaking of Ajax, so Ajax officials, like, this is an update on Sky Sports News.
13 appearances.
Well, this is how they're gonna. I think. This is the man that Ajax are turning to turn their fortunes around. Like, 5th place for Ajax in the Eredivisie is really not good whatsoever. Ajax fly to the UK to finalise a deal for Jordan Henderson.
Thank fuck. Because do you want to know who else he was being linked with?
Celtic?
Us. I mean, never liked Ajax for obvious reasons and who their friends are within Scotland. I'm sure you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure that one out. But they have just gone slightly up in my estimations. Good for you, Ajax. Get him in.
I'm doing you a favour. There
Yeah,
you
pay
go.
him. Pay him an absolute fuck ton. And anyway, the good guys of Holland, PSV, are top with 51 points, and then Feyenoord are second with 39. Um, yeah, but
Well, as long
fifth.
as the good guys are on
What
top,
does
that's what matters.
what the fuck does fifth even get you?
Fuck all, probably.
Conference League playoffs.
Conference League playoffs. So yeah,
Five.
well,
They're 5 points behind Alkmaar, and then they're 9 points behind 20.
wow.
Uh,
That is not a mate. I don't even know who the Ajax manager is, but I'm pretty
I don't know.
sure.
I clicked on them and it said they had like two head coaches. I don't know.
Two head
Confused.
coaches. Well, that shows that fucking shit's going wrong.
23 points behind PSV. My God.
That's mental. Well, they clearly aren't catching up. But I'll tell you, an interesting transfer deal that's happened so far in January, and it really does give me Shinji Kagawa vibes, and that is Jadon Sancho returning to Dortmund on loan. Like, it's definitely completely identical to Kagawa going to United and back to Dortmund.
Did you hear? Did you see that clip going viral on Twitter?
Which one?
Uh, after the Dortmund game, and Jadon Sancho's walking off the bench, and obviously
No.
there's some rogue Man United fan that's in the stand. He's like, "Oi, Jadon, Ten Hag wants a word with you, you lazy cunt, you lazy fuck." So God love him. He's flown all the way to Dortmund. He's landed. He's thought, oh, thank fuck. And after his first game, he's still getting shit in the
Still
stands.
getting shit in the stand. Who the fuck
From
is forked out?
Jeff. Jeff's got a his stag do in Berlin and thought, "Do you know what? I'm going to Dortmund today."
Shall we fuck off down
Shut
Dortmund and give Sancho some shite? But no, interesting move. I mean,
Jadon Sancho assisted Marco Reus. Fuck me, I thought it was 2015.
yeah. Do you feel we could probably see the best of Jadon Sancho back at Dortmund?
Nah.
No.
I just Man United is it's just a graveyard club. It takes a lot to go there,
And it
and
leaves
then
a
come.
lasting effect on
Yeah,
players that go elsewhere.
I feel there's very few people that you see like go there and one do well, but two after they go there, then go on and uh, and then kind of rebuild. It kind of just kills. I mean, you look at the likes of like I'm sure there's plenty of names that people could throw here and absolutely disprove me, but the big ones I'm thinking of was like Paul Pogba. The club just seemed
Paul
to murder.
Pogba, Mkhitaryan,
Even got
Alexis Sanchez,
David De Gea that's left
David
and
De
gone to the
Gea
club.
still hasn't got a
I,
club.
I mean, he's maybe waiting for like the MLS and the way that season
Get on the
works.
phone to Brendan, mate.
Maybe. Brendan, what's your Spanish like?
Sergio Ramos.
Um, but yeah, I, I would like to see him do well. Like I like Dortmund as I think a lot of people tend to do. Back the underdog in Germany. I like Dortmund and had a real affinity to that Mario Götze, Lewandowski, Royce team.
Yeah.
Schmelzer, Gundogan, Hummels. That team, and the black and yellow stripes. Obviously, all the way to the final. Obviously, Lewandowski had left by then, and there's that lovely image where like Marco Reus is smiling and Lewandowski's smiling.
Yeah,
Um,
legendary. Yeah,
so
but
that
just
was
I think just the whole club culture and the traditions they have as well. Like where we spoke about in the past, we was like how much would we love to go to Signal? What is it called? Signal and Duna Park and be part
yeah.
of the Yellow Wall, like because of the atmosphere being absolutely electric. Like just like bits like that make football so special.
I think there's some great clubs in Germany. Union Berlin as well,
Yeah,
who obviously have shot to fandom after their run in the league last year and kind of given us all Leicester City vibes, but unfortunately fell away. Um, Stuttgart are obviously doing something similar. Bayer Leverkusen are actually top at the moment, but
having a brilliant season at the moment
Xabi
under the
Alonso.
management of Xabi Alonso. Yeah.
Yeah, so um, yeah, and I think Germany do it right. I think, basically every club, bar is at Wolfsburg or something, obviously has that 51-49 ownership. Ticket prices are fair. And yeah, the yellow wall and really, the ultra um, culture that they have there creates some magical atmospheres, no matter sort of where you are, whether you're sort of down at the bottom. Obviously we see Schalke now that kind of flirt, which is it's a wee bit sad. We think back to what Schalke was when we were growing up, like Huntelaar and Rao there, Manuel
Yeah.
Neuer, obviously. Um, so to see them where they are now is a wee bit sad, but even there, they're a massive stadium, massive
Hmm.
structure. Even people like Hamburg, which scum,
I was
but
going to say awful.
big clubs and have big infrastructures and are playing Bundesliga 2 football. So um, yeah, I think Germany are doing it right. Really roundabout way to say that I think Sancho will probably struggle. And what I hate is if he does go there and do well, what you get is all these bam up we United fanboy pricks that then say, "Oh, the Bundesliga shit." Mate, we just see you get slapped off Bayern Munich in the group stage. Like, don't be talking about the Bundesliga being shit when you're dog shit. Like,
Can get one over Galatasaray. Never mind fucking Bayern Munich.
I mean, but no one talks about that. No one talks about Newcastle and United finishing bottom of their group.
No.
Oh, for Celtic, they fucking put a big spreadsheet and have a poster of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Bias much? You know what? Speaking of Newcastle, right? I must say, what an entertaining game that was on the weekend between Newcastle and City. 3 goals to two. To,
I think I think Newcastle are, a lot of people would probably say they're having a bad season. I don't actually think they are. I think
no, no.
I just worry that with the kind of people that are in charge, I don't think they're football people because they're like the royal family of Saudi Arabia. I don't know how vested they've been in you know football in the northeast of the UK. I'm not sure, but I just worry that because they got Champions League and it's very unlikely they're going to do that again, that they'll make a rash decision. Because there's absolutely no doubt that Newcastle, with the investment, with the Champions League money, with the size of the stadium, that pretty soon they're going to be able to spend heavily in the market, be able to pay people pretty insane wages. It's going to take a couple. It was always going to take a couple of years to get to that point. Um, and I just worry that they won't stick by Eddie Howe because he's had that wobble. I hope that's not the case because I think he's done a fantastic job.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, no, absolutely agree. I just feel that there's been other teams around them that have just been outstanding. I think Villa have been outstanding this season under Unai Emery. I think Brighton have still managed to perform well as well. And then, of course,
look,
then Tottenham as well, who have played well under Ange, obviously had their fall off a bit, but still a formidable force in the Premier League, and I just feel, and then like you said, like with Champions League coming into play as well, where Newcastle haven't got a squad that is as that delivers the same quality as their first 11 did last season.
I mean, they've a lot of injuries. Um,
Injuries come into play, of course.
they have had a lot of injuries. I don't think that was really present for the City game because I think they pretty much had their first 11
I think
defence.
that's the best looking 11 they've had for a long time.
They've got Isak, they've got Almiron that would probably start. They obviously had Gordon, who would probably start. Gomes, Bruno Gomes in there. Obviously, Joe Linton got injured, so there probably is still areas that they need um, to go and sort. Definitely, and a few players to come back, but they're always showing that they can compete. But they've just in those games last season they weren't coming up short, and this season they are. But if you can bring Kevin De Bruyne off the bench and he can have that kind of cameo, I don't think there's a lot of teams in world football that could have done much else. Like De Bruyne just jumps on for 20 minutes, passes one into the side corner, and then just decides, yeah, look, I'm just going to play this ball from 40 yards out onto Oscar Bobb's foot.
Ridiculous assist that was.
Yeah, I mean,
Unbelievable.
92nd minute or whatever it is. Yeah, just let me pick this up and put it on
Yeah.
banana captains. And then fair play to Oscar Bobb
I was
because
going to say to take that control with his left foot round Pope and then finish it with his right.
well, it won't Pope is he? He's still he's a
Oh,
victim.
sorry, Dubravka. Sorry, I meant Dubravka. Yeah.
Um, but I think the brilliant thing was like Trippier clearly makes contact with him, and there'll be so many footballers in the world that don't even have the ambition to go and put that ball in the net and win it there. They just hit the ground, and there's absolutely no doubt that if he goes down, it's a penalty. VAR review it; they see the contact as a penalty, 100%.
Yeah.
And you know we've seen in the Chelsea game, we see obviously Man United Wigan last week that for minimal contact, people just throwing themselves to the ground. Experienced pros, Raheem Sterling, Bruno
Yep.
Fernandes.
And then get given 9 times out of 10.
So for a young kid there to take a fair whack, land, keep his balance, pop it round him the way he did, left foot, right foot, magical, well played, and super moment for him.
Yeah. Big result for City as well as
Yeah,
they continue to chase down Arsenal and Liverpool.
feels like they're starting to turn the screw.
Yeah.
And it'll be a worry for everyone else that they're starting to do that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I was just thinking as well, like, I just remembered Sandro Tonali at Newcastle. Well, hopefully they don't bring in any more players that have fucking gambling problems.
Yeah, well, I think that Ivan Toney's
Hey! He's got the transition. There's the transition. He's been getting a lot of attention as of late. Ivan Toney, nearing his return to Brentford. He's had a lot to say. Basically, he's admitted to the gambling addiction that he did struggle with, and has even admitted that he is open to leaving Brentford this window.
Well, I think he's kind of contradicting himself because I've seen quotes saying that he wants to be loyal to Brentford, and then I guess on the other hand, he's heard about some of the names that are being knocked around, and he thinks, they're pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And Brentford are. It's not quite second season syndrome, but they're having that tough season after Thomas Frank has delivered a couple of amazing seasons from. They're having that difficult moment. I think out of all the seasons that they've been in the Prem, they need Ivan Toney the most now. So if he was to walk out on them, I think it would be a little bit sore for the Brentford fans, considering how much the manager stood by him and the fans have stood by him. If he was to say thanks for that and then go to Arsenal or the people he's being linked with, I think it would sting a little bit. So I think a wee bit of loyalty wouldn't be the worst thing, but loyalty in football's dead.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, like you just said then, he contradicted himself, saying that he wants to be loyal, but now seeing in his recent exclusive interview that he would like to play for a top club and has refused to rule out a January exit. So
yeah, which is probably just the fact that his agent's been contacted and he realises that the offer is actually real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
interest is there, 100%.
Yeah, he scores goals in the Premier League, so he's going to ramp it up. But he's done what he's done. He's faced the punishment for it. I hope he stays at Brentford, but I would imagine if he's saying that kind of stuff that the interest is there, and he probably has it on good authority that there's going to be a bid for him. Thinking about people that have done the crime, fucking tough time to be an Everton fan, isn't it?
And a Forest fan. Oof.
I mean, Forest. Yeah,
you can't expect. You saw it coming, yeah. And now there's going to be a court hearing for City.
Everton getting done twice. Why City sit there with 115 jobs?
I know, it's hilarious, but then at the same time, it's like Everton have been done dirty.
It as well. People trying to downplay it, saying, "Well, Everton have admitted to wrongdoing, and City claim they're innocent, so that's why they haven't been charged." No.
It's fucking obvious they're talking shite.
So basically, all you need to do in these circumstances then is just say I'm innocent, and you get 3 more years to deal with this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And let's drag it out through the fucking courts of appeal and all this, and we'll just deal with it in 6 years.
And they are awful long processes as well.
Mad if they get another points deduction. They had that 10 point, gone on a great run, got out. If they get another one,
Yeah, I know.
that's fucking harsh. Like,
But I know. But they will define the Great Escape, having 2 sets of point deductions and still manage to stay up. But it is mental though, like the fact that City haven't been reprimanded for this and faced any form of consequence is beyond me. And but like you said, I think, yeah, you claim, yeah, it's the dollar money talks.
Yeah, obviously Everton did get a good point as well. Oh, it was a fantastic point of
Yeah, huge point.
home to Villa. And Dyche ball in full flow. It's a wee bit, it's a wee bit sad that we're losing Goodison as well. I felt this way when White Hart Lane went. I felt this way when Highbury went.
Yeah,
You know, I wasn't really old enough to know Main Road, but these old grounds, especially if you've been to and you've experienced a match day there, like they're special. White Hart Lane was only 36,000 or whatever, but it was close to the pitch. It was great noise. I haven't been to the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it looks lovely. And Anthony Joshua has these fights there, and there's a retractable pitch.
yeah.
But there's just something about those old grounds. And Goodison, it will be sad to lose it.
Yeah, it's just the stadium's always a big part of the club's history, of where it started and how far it came. Football stadium, because they go on for they live forever. These stadiums, they can do.
You understand, the reason why they're doing it. You support Cardiff, you know what I mean? You left behind Indian Park and went to the Cardiff City Stadium, so you can understand that some clubs need to, but it's just the way of the times. I don't think that Everton have a stadium where they need to just get rid of that. But modern football, and they want to. God knows what the new capacity is. Probably 50-odd thousand, I imagine.
God,
Great away trip for the Championship next year.
50, I think it's approximately 50,000-60,000.
Sorry, I don't know how many people listen to this, but I probably piss off everyone that does, because at some point I drop in something that's going to piss off someone's supporters. I actually really like Everton. I like them as a football club. I like their fan base. I want them to stay up.
Well, we've got no Burnley followers, that's for sure, and there it is.
Vincent Company crying that fucking Trafford was fouled. Well, that's what happens when you put a fucking 6-year-old in goal. Shut the fuck up.
I saw like an interview from Rio Ferdinand of how much he said like of a fortress Ninian Park was back in the day, and he was like, everyone was scared to go to Ninian Park. I went, well, it was a shithole, but yeah, I know the atmosphere, fantastic. But
it's just that those old grounds, like Elm Road as well, was up there.
Yeah.
Like just proper football grounds, instead of these like corporate bowls that you get now, like the Emirates and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Like, they're all the same. You know what I mean, like just this corporate kind of bowl shape. And
no, exactly.
look, they've got a Nando's built in. All right, well,
so, I mean,
ditched 100 years of history.
Came and watch a good game of football, not to fucking watch Guns N' Roses. Like, this isn't the
You've ditched all your history, but at least you can get a Taco Bell at half time. Brilliant.
Do you know what I mean? Take your fucking ever getting there and all.
£23 for
have you ever been to the O2 Arena?
I call it the Millennium Dome.
Oh, the Millennium Dome, yes. The good old days.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, like, why do you have these facilities? Like, of course, the O2 Arena isn't a football stadium, so slightly different. But if you're taking that format and put it into a football stadium, having a Nando's in there.
I'm pretty sure there was like a TGI's or Weatherspoons or something that we ended up in at one time there, and everything was just double the price because she was in the O2.
Yeah, no, it really is. It's mental there. Actually, you know what? I just thought of another ground as well with rich history, purely because there was a pub on each corner by the stadium, Griffin Park.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, it's not quite a fishbowl, but it's nice and shiny from the outside.
It's got to be a bit of character to it. I don't mind that one. So it's a wee bit of character. And you understand. Have you ever been to Griffin Park?
I wanted to go to. I almost went to Griffin Park, but didn't in the end. But
I mean, you can cut this out 'cause I want to make sure that this is right. But it is
fucking
Brentford.
hell.
It's Brentford's ground, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, Brentford's old ground. So I
Woo!
went.
No cutting there.
I'm out of myself. We went there in a pre-season friendly. It was Celtic, Brentford v Celtic.
Was that the one where you were like swinging on the crossbar and stuff?
Well, it wasn't me.
No, no, not you specifically.
Let's guess the PSNI hear this. It wasn't me or any other
Oh,
authority.
this is staying in.
It wasn't me. There was a guy there with dreadlocks who looked to be a bit like Henrik Larsson. Great crack, sung his name all game.
Playing dress up, was he?
Maybe they brung out a Union Jack and things escalated. People did get on the crossbars and they succumbed to the force of those pesky rascals.
What are they like?
But you can understand, when they went to the Premier League, that probably wasn't feasible to continue to play there. But yeah, it was a
pre-season friendly to go to though.
I know that this has been. We didn't do many London ones. There was one in Norwich one year. It was good crack. We just sang for 90 minutes, basically, "Don't sell Paddy McCourt, or we're going to riot." And then they sold Paddy McCourt. Peter Laurel 101, doing exactly as the fans ask.
Absolutely.
There was one in Sunderland, but I didn't get to that one. At that point I was living in the occupied 6 counties. So I didn't get over, but that was a tasty affair. Tommy Robinson was there that day in his Hun shirt, but he fucking bam. But yeah, it's always good. A bit of needle for at a pre-season in England. There's always good bit of fun. I'd love them to do like pre-season game over here. It'd be good.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know what? As you're thinking about it as well, Cardiff played Celtic in a pre-season friendly. It wasn't at Indian Park. This was like when the Cardiff City Stadium had just recently opened. I think you guys were our first pre-season game. I missed that game that night because I had to enrol at Northwest Kent College on that day and then get the train up afterwards, get to where I was staying. My dad was at the game, came back, he went fucking 0-0. And that was the other, and because Joe Ledley had recently joined News as well, so it sort of came hand in hand, and it was like kind of like a testimonial for him.
They're always fun. Like most of the time they're in weird locations with Celtic, but you do get the time. It was in the Wembley Cup once as well. It was good fun.
The Wembley Cup.
Yeah.
Against #United.
Wow, that would be great, mate. Get we Jeremy McKendy. I forget his name. Our top goal scorer. He hasn't quite pulled on the heartstring like Saka Hassan on the wing.
Saka Hassan. Oh, yeah. If you can't tell, guys, Mayhem has started a new FM save with #United. Fancy the challenge.
Spencer Owen, I'm not saying better than the man in charge at the moment, but I'm top of the league after 15 games. So come and have a chat. Whatever he's earning, I'll take £100 less. I have to be able to manage the games remotely because I have a family, Spencer. So the assistant manager's going to be doing a whole lot.
Working remotely. That's how it is. That's what I'm doing with Dartford. Like again, about to get back-to-back promotions with them. Fucking hell, Tony Berman, director of the club, fucking get me in the door, mate. Do you know what I mean? But remotely.
You've got history,
Got history. Right, let's wrap up before this gets out of control. Mayhem, an absolute pleasure. Good to be back. Thanks for joining me this evening.
Good to be back, mate.
Good to be back indeed. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're new to the Football Booth podcast, you can check out all our episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and other audio platforms. If you'd like to see our beautiful faces, head on over to YouTube at our channel, The Football Booth. Whilst you're over there, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring that bell for notifications, drop your comments below with your thoughts. And until next time, ladies and gents, I bid you all good night and the star.